Which video can I refute? Let's see. I have a better idea. Hello, and welcome back to Doctrina et Veritas, quod traditio et ratio vigilant. And, having changed my channel name, figured I'd do something a little different, because at the time of uploading this video, I will be on vacation, but at the time of recording, I'm only a few hours away from going on vacation. So, I pulled up the political compass test, and we're going to take it. I've already taken it before, but we're going to do it again, because why not, maybe I haven't made my political beliefs clear, so we're going to show how I feel using the extremely outdated and erroneous political compass. Before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey and these aren't questions, they're propositions. Propositions are a very different proposition. I don't get it. To question the logic of individuals that irritate you is to miss the point. Some positions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show you whether you lean toward extremism or moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measure feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. All of them are necessarily biased, but we have a careful balance of biases. Oh, fun. This is something that most of our critics simply don't understand. Alright, I see what you're doing. Now try the test. You can take it in Bulgarski, Czechina, Deutsch, English, Espanol, Francais, Italiano, Farsi, Polski, Portuguese, Romena, Ruski, Sloveshina, or Turkce. I'm gonna go with English. Yeah. Alright, let's see. Just a few propositions to start with, concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. Alright, let's do this. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Yeah, I'm gonna have to strongly agree with that. I tend to prefer humanity over the transnational corporations. I don't like those things. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Again, as I mentioned in a previous video, nationalism is idolatry. We should only support our country as much as it aligns with the truth. Alright, next up. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Okay, well, this statement's kind of dumb. We can still be proud of our country, we just can't idolize it. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Now, this is one of those nuanced questions. I don't know what they mean by race here. Do they mean ethnicity? Do they mean culture? Do they mean biological race? Biological race, of course, doesn't exist. But I'm just going to go with strongly disagree. I think no matter what term you'd replace race with, I'd still disagree. So maybe culture, but they could have just put culture. They didn't have to use a term that has such a connotation. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Nope, we must be principled. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. See, I wish they had a neutral option for stuff like this because, I don't know, international law is, well, it's useless. It's just going to get people killed. But on the other hand, we should follow the law. I'm just going to go with agree. Because I live in the United States, we can get away with war crimes whenever we want. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I agree with this. It was not too long ago that I could just enjoy my cartoons, but now I can't do that without some political message being shoved in my face. And it doesn't matter what side, from left, right, all brain rot. Page 2, now the economy. We're not taking out the FTSE index. Talking attitudes here. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. are they? Ideally, they would be. But realistically, they are, yeah. I mean, every single peasant rebellion in history, was that about nationality? I highly doubt it. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Water. Anyway. This is, yeah. Really wishing there was a neutral option right about now again. Well... again, I kind of despise those transnational corporations, and I have a soft spot for humanity, so I'm just gonna say, slightly disagree. We should control unemployment. I mean, what percent of the population must be broke and destitute for inflation to go down? Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Absolutely, regulate those economies. Even with the profit incentive, they can't really make much profit if everyone is dead from toxic fumes in the air and acid rain, rising sea levels. Well, those will only take out Florida, so not a huge loss. Each according to his ability to reach a no. Free the market, nope. It's a sad reflection our society had something as basic as drinking water. It's now a bottled, branded consumer product. I agree with this. Why do we have to pay for basic necessities to live? I thought one of the tenets of classical liberalism, one of the inalienable rights was life. And yet we have to pay for it. Truly, truly sad. No one could have ever seen this coming from such a facetious, fallacious, terrible system, liberalism. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I have to disagree there. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I agree with this. People tend to call socialists lazy, but a lot of people in capitalism who struck rich were lucky. They either hit it big out of luck, or they were born into rich families whom they inherited money from. That doesn't matter. But the point is, capitalism and socialism are equally destructive and stupid economic systems. Protectionism is something, yeah. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. No, I despise the profit incentive. I understand the practical purposes, but they're dumb. I don't like them. The rich are too highly taxed. I don't know about this one. I think we should just have a flat tax, 20% for every single person. Rich, poor, maybe if even that. And we used to not even have income tax until Prohibition. And we did just fine with that. We just taxed imports. And yet the government got greedier and greedier. And now, I have to remember to put this in, we pay more taxes in America than slaves did in the days of Egypt during the famine in Genesis 47. But anyway, that's off track. I think I'm gonna have to slightly disagree with this one. I don't know. Okay, next up. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Strongly disagree. Should have universal health care for all people. If anything, that should be a right. An inalienable right. Next up. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yeah. And they should. No matter how it feels to spread misinformation. Alright, next up. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Absolutely. Thank you, Theodore Roosevelt, for busting those trusts. Next page. Take a look at some of your personal social values. Abortion, yep, agreed, should always be illegal. Except in extremely specific cases. Well, performing an abortion should always be illegal, but receiving it, now that could be a little more nuanced. So yeah, all authority should be questioned. You see, I do agree with this. I think we should always check our authority on the basis of some kind of law, or even just history. But what this question is asking is, or what this proposition is saying is basically, authority should be disobeyed, which I strongly disagree with. Yeah, I know this test. We should submit to authority, but we should question it according to history. But if that authority is, persecuting Christians, Catholics, then who are we to follow it? So that's a little more nuanced. I'm still going to go with strongly disagree. Next up, an eye for an eye and a tooth for tooth. Also, God's authority should not be questioned. I mean, He made you. He brought you into this world, and He can take you out. Next up, anyway, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Speaking of God, no, you cannot use the Old Testament to justify this. Jesus quite literally abolished it, and anyone who uses Old Testament civil law either to preach hate or to disprove Christianity is stupid and brain dead, and their opinions are irrelevant. Next up, taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Honestly, I'm going to agree with this one. We have a welfare state. We can't afford to spend money on frivolous stuff like the arts. Next, schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I disagree with this one. Everyone should go to school if they can. If children are going to be required to get vaccines, they should also be required to stay in school. Stay in school, kids. Don't do drugs. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. That's racist. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Absolutely. I personally think I wasn't spanked nearly enough when I was younger. But, it's a very... I personally don't understand why it's frowned upon. The real world won't be as free. Well, maybe now it will be, but traditionally, the real world wasn't so forgiving. So yeah, every now and then, you're going to have to discipline your children through corporal punishment. That's whatever. It is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Now, the thing is, I agree with this, but what this proposition is actually saying is it's okay for children to keep some secrets from their parents, which I absolutely disagree with. It is not okay, and we have a solution to that. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Now, as I said above, don't do drugs and stay in school. For medical use, sure, that'd be fine, but for personal use, I don't agree with the whole concept of victimless crimes. The victim is God. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Traditionally, that was the whole point of school, so yeah. I wonder if my water bottle's noisy. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. That's crazy. Who would think like that? Yeah. Most important thing for our children is to learn... The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Well, it's not the most important thing, but it's definitely very important for them to learn to accept discipline and authority. Next up, there are no savage or civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Well, here's the thing about that. They use the different word. These people here and then culture there. The thing is, I agree that there are savage and civilized cultures. I disagree that there are savage and civilized peoples. Take the Native Americans, for example. Every single Native American culture was barbaric. Be it the Plains Indians or the disgusting child-sacrificing Mesoamerican culture. Their culture was horrible. They did human sacrifice. They worshipped idols. But the thing is, the people themselves weren't savages. They were just subject, held hostage in a savage culture. It's not their fault. It's just the accident of their birth. And when the Europeans came, we demolished their old culture for the most part, anyway. At least the Mesoamerican cultures, which were committing human sacrifice. So that's a good thing. And we set up our own Christian, or at least folk Catholic culture. But nonetheless, the human sacrifice has mostly been put to a stop, and so we've fixed their culture. So that shows that they're not inherently savage and uncivilized people, but it was just their culture. So, okay. I'm probably doing what the warning told me not to do, overthinking this. I'm just gonna say disagree. There are definitely savage cultures, and people can probably, in this case, be used as a synonym for cultures. Yeah. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Hang on. Okay. My reading comprehension is apparently not the best today. Oh, well, yeah. Again, if we're gonna have a welfare state, we're gonna have to cut corners wherever possible. And in this case, if people just turn down the welfare, okay, sure, we won't give you welfare, just like how God will give you prevenient grace, but if you turn it down, okay, he'll leave you to wallow in your sin. So yeah, that's good. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Okay, well, to be fair, this is what I do a lot. If geopolitics are stressing me out, I just play video games or watch cartoons. But is it really a good thing to do? I would say just keep it on your mind. You should keep it on your mind, but you can enjoy other things to kind of ease the pain. I say slightly agree. Jeez, my throat. I'm not sure what's going on. Must be allergies. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Disagree. They should assimilate, though. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Yeah, I agree with this. This will help keep the media objective and avoid the government from overstepping its bounds. Yeah. And how you see the wider society. Yeah, okay. Alright, our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people complain about this, but personally, I haven't been bothered too much by it. I mean, like, nothing to hide, nothing to fear, A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Yeah, absolutely. I disagree with political parties entirely, though. George Washington, he may have been, democracy pilled. I hate that I even use that term. Jeez, brain rot is getting to me. But nonetheless, he too was against political parties. So if there's anything we have in common, it's that. One party state, I mean, something like China would be absolutely disgusting, but an absolute monarchy could, in some ways, with like the Byzantine model, in some ways that could be seen as a one-party state. So in that sense, it'd be great. Democratic political system is, in case you didn't know, awful. Alright, next up. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Yeah, I said this earlier. Nothing to hide, nothing to fear. Next up, the death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Okay, well, this one's very nuanced again. I wish there was a neutral option. The Catholic Church does officially condemn the death penalty. So I kind of have to agree with that there, but it's not a dogmatic teaching, which means I don't have to specifically disagree with the death penalty, even though I do, because, for one very specific reason. What if it was a false accusation? Say the defendant didn't actually commit murder. I know that's a common law term, but whatever. Defendant didn't actually commit murder, and he still got sentenced to death, like poor old Thomas Evans from Britain, who was hanged for a crime he didn't commit. I believe that's his name anyway. Yeah, so that's something we want to avoid, and not having the death penalty, and instead replacing it with life in a forced labor camp alleviates that issue. So, while I disagree with the death penalty, I still agree that there should be harsh, punitive punishment tantamount to the death penalty. So I'm going to say slightly agree. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Absolutely. Even any society, literally any society, will always develop a hierarchy naturally. Take a look at communist states like the Soviet Union. The whole promise of communism was a classless society, and yet look what happened to the Soviet Union, to the communists. They developed a class system with a totalitarian dictatorship. So they developed a hierarchy naturally, even though they did everything they could to get rid of hierarchy. But a civilized society will just accept hierarchy and create one naturally. So yeah, abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Absolutely, we should burn all modern art and return to actual art from the Renaissance or the early modern period, or even up until the 1920s or so. Yeah. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. As I said before, I support punitive justice. And it looks like the question below is related. It's a waste of time to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah. Dissuasion goes a long way, even though it has been said that love works better than fear. Respect works better than fear. But this is the law. If somebody just got killed, we're not exactly going to be all lovey-dovey to them. Or to the murderer, I should say. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I'm going to have to agree with this one. Even though, the writer and the artist are extremely important. They are the cornerstone of our culture. Well, are they? Yeah, not particularly. I'm going to go with slightly agree because they're still very important. These are how the business and person and manufacturer may be important in the present hour, but the writer and the artist will determine how our society is remembered hundreds or thousands of years from now. Now that I say that out loud, that sounds very important. Oh, geez. Again, I really wish there was a neutral option. I'm just going to say... okay, well, the manufacturer can develop artifacts that archaeologists can dig up, so I'm gonna stick with agree. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be... Yep. Homemakers. Almost all politicians promise economic growth. We should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to curb global warming. Yes. Regulate the economy. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Again, I really have no objection to this. Okay, next. If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion, a breeze. Astrology, no. You cannot be moral without being religious. True. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Okay, I see this one. Some people are naturally unlucky. No one's natural. Well, actually, everyone's naturally unlucky, but no one more than others. Everybody is a damned reprobate in the eyes of God. Well, damned sinner in the eyes of God, but he chooses to save some. He can do whatever he wants. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Again, neutral option. Don't understand why they don't have that. It'd be so much better. Okay, it is important that my child's school instills religious values. Absolutely. The secularization of schooling and education has definitely been a detriment. I think if we had continued to just go with Catholic schools, we wouldn't have, 70% of Catholics thinking that the Eucharist is a symbol. But that's off topic. Charity is better than Social Security. Yeah, actually, I misread this question the first time. I agree with this. Finally, a look at sex. Oh wow, that's so funny. I'm a teenager. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Yeah, well, usually. That's what I mean. Always immoral. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Nope. A child needs a mother and a father. You can't have a father and a father or a mother and a mother. It just doesn't work the same. Pornography, nope. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state, no. Because then you get excuse for stuff like sodomy and bestiality and BDSM and other terrifying stuff. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Okay, so this is a traditional standpoint, but honestly, I'm not sure about this. I'm gonna go with strongly agree, just because, if homosexual, if sodomy is a screaming sin, it has to be. Then the concupiscence of sodomy has to be unnatural, against God's plan. That just makes sense to me. Let's see, these days, openness about sex has gone to absolutely. It used to be the holy, sacred act, but now it's just everywhere. Okay, I guess that's it. Let's see where we stand. Okay, I have to scroll through everything. It's so suspenseful. Okay, there we are. I guess I'm a communist. Wow, wonderful. Authoritarian left. Yeah, actually, I already knew that. I took this test before. That's not where I was last time. I was over here before. Huh. Okay. I actually like this better. This is less bad. But anyway, I mostly agree with this. It makes sense. So distributism. That's what I am. It tends to lean left. That's what I'm doing. Okay, it's more lean, maybe. It's like center left, and it's kind of concerning. Definitely authoritarian. I have no disagreement with that. As a monarchist, I wonder if there's anything here for me today. Is there apparently closest to China? I don't know how that's possible. China maintains strong economic controls. I'm not really close to anyone, but okay, well, yeah, there you have it. That's it for this. Stay tuned for hopefully a video next week. But I do start my senior year of high school yet, so God willing, I'll still try to get stuff out. But that's it. Bye.